In the late 18th century, a remarkable transformation unfolded on the American continent. This transformation wasn't just born of musket fire and cannon blasts. It was ignited by revolutionary ideas that reshaped the course of history. Welcome to our exploration of the philosophies that fueled the American Revolution, a movement that fundamentally changed the destiny of a nation and inspired waves of liberty across the globe. The seeds of revolution were sown long before the first shots were fired at Lexington and Concord. Central to these seeds were the Enlightenment ideas that swept across Europe and the American colonies. These ideas emphasized reason, individualism, and skepticism of traditional authority, setting the stage for a challenge to monarchical rule. At the heart of this intellectual movement was John Locke, an English philosopher whose ideas profoundly influenced the American revolutionaries. Locke's concept of natural rights proposed that every individual is entitled to life, liberty, and property. This radical notion formed the bedrock of resistance against British tyranny. Colonists began to question how a king an ocean away could justly impose laws and taxes on them without their consent. A notion encapsulated in the rallying cry, "No taxation without representation." Locke also advocated for the social contract, the idea that governments derive their authority from the consent of the governed. This concept inspired American thinkers to envision a society where power was not inherited by birthright, but granted by the people themselves. It was a revolutionary departure from the absolute monarchies that dominated Europe. Alongside Locke's influential ideas, the writings of Baron de Montesquieu played a pivotal role. Montesquieu championed the separation of powers, arguing for a balanced government structure where power is divided among different branches to prevent tyranny. This vision of checks and balances was embraced by American revolutionaries who feared the oppressive reach of centralized power and influenced the drafting of the U.S. Constitution years later. Beyond political philosophy, the American Revolution was also deeply intertwined with economic ideas. Mercantilism, the prevailing economic doctrine of the time, viewed colonies as mere tools for enriching the mother country. The colonists, however, yearned for economic autonomy. They believed in economic liberalism, which advocated for free trade and opposed restrictive mercantilist policies. This desire for economic freedom became a catalyst for rebellion, as it was inherently linked with the broader quest for political independence. Thomas Paine, an English-born political activist, became a critical voice in spreading revolutionary ideas among the masses. His pamphlet, Common Sense, was a clarion call that questioned the very legitimacy of the British monarchy and argued for American independence in plain, persuasive language. Paine's words resonated across the colonies, galvanizing public support for a break from British rule. Common Sense sold over 100,000 copies in its first few months, a staggering number at the time, and underscored the power of ideas in mobilizing a revolution. Moreover, the philosophies that fueled the American Revolution were not confined to the minds of Enlightenment thinkers. They were echoed in the sermons of colonial ministers, debated in the taverns and town halls, and found a voice in the stirring writings of figures like Thomas Jefferson. Jefferson's Declaration of Independence eloquently articulated the colonists' grievances, drawing heavily from Locke's theories of natural rights and the social contract. The Declaration marked a bold proclamation to the world that America was no longer a group of disparate colonies, but a united entity in pursuit of self-determination. As the Revolution unfolded, these philosophical underpinnings were not merely theoretical. They guided the creation of a new nation. The Articles of Confederation, and later the U.S. Constitution, reflected a profound commitment to the principles of liberty, equality, and democracy. The revolutionary ideas that inspired the fight for independence also shaped the new government, embedding the Enlightenment ethos into the very fabric of American political life. In conclusion, the American Revolution was much more than a war for independence. It was a profound journey of ideas that questioned the age-old orthodoxy of monarchies and empires. By embracing Enlightenment philosophies, the revolutionaries not only dismantled a colonial yoke, but also laid the philosophical foundations for a democratic experiment that would ripple across centuries. In understanding these revolutionary ideas, we grasp the profound intellectual adventure that drove a young nation toward the ideals of liberty and justice. principles that continue to inspire the quest for freedom around the world today.